Alright guys, I want to apologize for not being able to vlog as often. I'm really sorry about that. But there has been a lot of crazy stuff that's happened. I'm already 2 weeks in LA and got a good amount of progress done on the FC. A lot of things consist of digging in dirt. Daniel's grave. So, trying to do burnouts in a truck full of dirt.
Oh, there you go. It's working. Kind of.
And taking out the whole rear end of the FC. And, you know, installing the 8/8 diff, axles and drive shaft, and fixing the hydro. That's kind of my main goal for this trip, was to be able to fully get the 8/8 installed on the car and then get the hydro working. I wanted to track the car this time if there was time, but I don't think there is time, unfortunately. So at least my goal is to get the car ready, completely ready for track next time. So I still have a few more days here and I'll try to utilize as much time as I can out here. But let's get to the vlog. So we're at a dump yard right now and we have an idea to take out all the dirt that's in the bed instead of just shuffling it out. So pay close attention what's about to happen. Don't try this at home, kids. Nothing happened.
Not reverse. Do a donut. Do something. Oh, there you go. It's working. Kind of. I don't think it works. And if I bring you to Exhibit B, we're digging a massive hole for Daniel's grave. So what's happening here is that we're going to be throwing a dyno here pretty soon. It's going to be really exciting. First in-house dyno. By next week we should see the dyno here, so pretty excited. What a beautiful weather today. You don't really get this in NorCal. Nice warm weather like this and you see snow that close to you. Mount Baldy. Man, I want to be up there. Looks nice. Many of you guys don't know, but I finally got my first M1 license and I'm really stoked to be able to ride, and hopefully in the near future I will be getting my first bike. Really looking at a Harley Sportster, probably a 883 or 1200, probably leaning towards the 1200. Many of you guys are probably shocked right now that I was even into motorcycles. I was always into bicycles in the beginning, just until maybe like a couple years ago. Friends inspired me into motorcycles and I figured, well, you know, might as well get my M1. I already know manual, I already know how to ride a bike, so put 2 and 2 together. And yeah, took my first MTC course, passed, and took the test at DMV, got my M1. It was actually really easy. And yeah, so I figured my taste is more towards cruisers instead of sports bikes. I have nothing against sports bikes, but for my taste and personal preference, I think the Harley looks pretty cool. This is a super old school Harley. This is actually Daniel's, and he, you know, built it pretty much from the ground up. I'm probably gonna go for like a newer type of bike, just because I don't want to have another project on my hands, and I already have too many projects. So stay tuned. I possibly might be doing a whole nother sector in my channel just for my first motorcycle, because right now I have the FC, FD, and the ND. So stay tuned for the possible motorcycle channel. Alright guys, so quick update. We are in the process of building new axles. You guys can see the new shaft for the axles right there, and then the outers to the hub for my FC, and we're gonna be pretty much building the inners for the 8/8 diff, which I got right here. So diff itself is already welded. Took out the bearing pinion for the 8/8. We're gonna be throwing in new gears that I have from Summit Racing, and pretty much putting in to the casing. So I think we're able to have everything done as far as building like the whole rear end. It's just a matter of pretty much getting this guy up on the air, taking out the rear subframes. Oh. Alright, another update on the car. Got the fire extinguisher mount installed. I really like the system. I actually got it on Amazon. I believe it's Tech 208 or whatever is the brand. But super clean system. I'll show you guys how it works in a second. But really in love with how it looks with the roll cage. So pretty much this thing has like a quick release button thing right here. So there's two, this is about like 1.5 inch diameter size for the roll cage, and it's on obviously the roll cage itself, and there's a separate system here between this and this. So all you have to do, you know, in a emergency situation, you pull on this tab, like where it says the arrow, you pull and a release, and that's mounted pretty much on a smaller little like U shaped mount right there, and one right there as well. And on the back side, that's what this pin is for. So pretty much it's gonna look like that, and you pull the tab and it locks. So pretty easy system. I'm really in love with it. I always like the whole look of fire extinguishers on roll cages like that. Just a really huge fan of it. So really happy with the install and looking good. Alright, today is January 18th, Tuesday. Today's task is to finish modifying the subframe. As you can see, I already have the 8/8 diff up on the car, on the chassis. Bat ears were a really good fitment for the diff, and onto the chassis studs itself. It worked really great. The only thing that kind of sucks with the solid bushings is that there's no place, so you pretty much have to just go straight in. There's no wiggle room, I guess you could say. Otherwise it fits really well. The part I am modifying right now, and I'll show you guys on the subframe, is pretty much the mouth of where this would sit right underneath. So before, the mouth was like this, it was like kind of blocking. So now I'm cutting more at it to where like the fitment would be right here, and probably gonna have to shave down just a little bit of this, just with a flappy disc going straight, just to give it better fitment. Otherwise the progress is going well. And you can see this is the subframe, this is the bottom part of the subframe, and what I'm doing right now is that mouth that I showed you guys earlier, this is where it is. So pretty much this much of it was blocking it. I'm going all the way to the lip right here. It should be enough. I'm almost done cutting this whole like block plate out, so I'm gonna remove it, use a flappy disc to kind of just make it smooth. It should be enough as far as clearance goes for the diff and the drive shaft. But yeah, gonna go ahead and once I'm done with that, pressure wash all this gunk off, and then get paints to just make it look cleaner, paint it all black, and let it dry, and then from there she should be good to go. Put this back on the car, and then the final step will be modifying this guy right here, the drive shaft. So once that's on the car, we're able to measure like how much more we're gonna have to extend, which it's gonna be that back piece right there. Most likely gonna be a 2-piece drive shaft from the way it looks like. But yeah guys, that's the final step, and then throw everything back on. She's able to drive again, get an alignment after that, and she's ready to go. Alright guys, well this is the last part of the vlog. I'm gonna be talking about the last and final updates and what is to come for the FC. So let's review what I've done for this trip. Okay, so as far as exterior goes, I got the hood finally wrapped. Thanks again to Kellen for wrapping the hood and making it one solid color, not a bajillion different like colors that it was before, and it looked really bad. Finally got the front MST wheels, 17x9s. +20, and I got the rears that are 18x11, Cosme's XT006Rs. The front tire size of this is a 235/40/17s, and the rear tires are a 245/40/18s, which is pretty crazy on an 18/11 wheel. The purpose of having the size specifically is, again, like I mentioned, to have less of a tire surface to the ground, so that way it's easier for it to kick out on the rear end. It's just insane how the tire shop was able to pretty much just stretch that as much as they could. I'm a huge fan of the flat sidewall compared to the stretch. That's just me though. The side skirts I took off for now only because I needed to clear the lift. I'm gonna be slapping the side skirts back on once I'm pretty much done with everything, with alignment and all that, so it'll be like the final piece to the puzzle. And I'm gonna be slapping a wing on and a Street Faction rear bash bar. So this is about, I wanna say 95% done on the exterior side. Again, just the wing, the bash bar, slapping back my side skirts on, and hopefully getting that stupid door handle on, because it took a lot of tries to try to get that back on, and for some reason I was not able to get that done. All right, and to bring you guys to the interior quick review, my friend Jet finally was able to get the cage on. Just a 4-point for now. I do have the hoops, and I do have to where it can go for the 6-point to the dash side, but I'm gonna be doing that later. That's not really necessary right now. Thankfully I have the materials. I slapped on the fire extinguisher and the mount as well, so I really like the look of that. It looks really clean. I got the harnesses on and properly installed as well, and to my configuration, so I don't have to mess with that anymore. And as far as the hydro goes, for the handle itself and the slave, Chase sent a replacement for the wheel width slave. I already replaced it, so I sent back the old one, and then this is the new one. So when I come back for my next trip, I'm able to pretty much to make sure that the slave is now not the issue, because now we replaced it. So the next piece to the puzzle for this guy is going to be waiting for the driver rear calipers that I will show you guys right now that I am waiting on. So as you guys can see, I don't have a caliper on there. I did order one, and it should be coming, I want to say, hopefully sometime next week. The only thing is I probably won't be able to install it until I come back, which is fine. But once that's done, that'll be the proper size caliper for the solid rear discs that are non-vented, and that really should fix the issue for the hydro. So at least I hope it does. Alright, so the last major update I want to talk to you guys about is pretty much the main reason why I was here for this trip is this guy right here, the big old 8/8 diff. So to give you guys an update what's going on, the bat ears and the casing and everything is installed on the car, as you guys can see. Axles are installed as well. The only issue that we ran into was part of the axle wasn't really sliding into the diff itself smoothly. So the reason for this tape, and I will get to that in a second, is because due to this not fully sitting in, we had to pretty much hammer in on this side where you see this line right here of the tape. So we had to hammer that side in of the axle into the diff, only because it had a really hard time getting into the diff itself. So yes, you could hammer on this side of the axle, which is that pretty much where that nut is right there. The only issue for that is because part of the axle on this side is gonna absorb it. So in order to have more of an impact for the axle to slide into the diff, we had to hammer it right where you see the line right there. That little gap opening right there on the Gorilla tape. So that's the reason why we had to tape it, is because part of the boot is ripped now. Unfortunately, this is what I had to do to repair it, is to use Gorilla tape. No, this is not a permanent fix. This is only temporary. This is only for me to pretty much be able to just move it around, and probably when I come back next time, we'll slide the axle out again and replace the boot. So this was just to pretty much mock everything up, be able to move the car when needed be, and you know, to see if there's any leaks on the seals, which thankfully I don't think there's any leaks. I topped this off with 80-90 gear oil, so there is fluid in this, The only thing we are waiting on is the drive shaft, which I will get to that in a second. There's one thing I wanted to show you guys, and this was what we were hammering away last night. So Jed and I, we were pretty much clearing where you see this little gap right below the flange of the diff. So all that you see right there, all that's pretty much black on this little plate had to be cleared off. Otherwise, there's no way that that flange and the drive shaft would clear. So had to do a lot of fabrication, had to do a lot of cutting, and pretty much to be able to make this work. And now for the drive shaft itself. So obviously there is no drive shaft, and this is just a plug so the fluid doesn't, you know, come out of the transmission itself. But what we had to do is pretty much measure the yoke of the drive shaft all the way to the flange of the diff. So we had to do some measurements. Thankfully we got them in the morning, and I sent it immediately to the drive shaft shop. So now that's all we're waiting on. Once that's in, we're able to slap the drive shaft on, and then we're able to slap the exhaust back on, since the exhaust is on the floor right now, due to just measuring the drive shaft and everything. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for all the updates and things that I've done to the FC for this trip. I honestly was planning on doing more vlogs within the 3 weeks that I was staying here, but I just been very busy, and you know, I hate to keep using that as an excuse, but I'm on a time crunch and I really wanted to make the most out of it each day, and you know, the progress and being able to do the most I can to pretty much be able to get it that much closer to a track day. I honestly thought I was gonna make it for track day this time, but it's okay, you know, I don't want to rush the process. I wanted to do everything properly in the beginning. That way I don't have to repeat any of the steps later on that I messed up in the beginning. Otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. I know that was a lot of information, and give you guys props for sticking to the end of this vlog. Otherwise, guys, I'll catch you guys later, and I will keep you guys updated as always. See ya.